we're just going to move on now to some stitch-ups by the Labour Party. I suppose it could be your weekly stitch-up roundup. Here we've got a picture of some Labour members. This is on Michael Crick's Tomorrow's MP's Twitter account. Copeland demonstration outside this morning's Labour selection by party members from nearby Workington. They feel excluded from a selection process, even though they're under the new boundaries. Today's winner is likely to be their candidate too. Now, I can't really understand what's happening there. So I've got someone who's in the know from Copeland constituency, which is neighbouring to Workington. Karl Connor is on the call. How are you doing, Karl?
Hi, Crispin. Are you well?
I'm good. Yeah, look, can you? I mean, I'm a bit confused about this. So Workington and Copeland are being merged in the new boundaries. Is that right?
They are. They're being merged in the new boundaries to create a West Cumbria constituency.
So why can't Workington be involved in the selection of their candidate in this new merged constituency? It just sounds weird.
It's weird. Nobody expected the selection to happen now. In fact, we'd been actively told, I was on the CLP, and we were actively told, CLP executive, that it wouldn't be done until next year because it was going to be such a big change. And so the candidates, the likely runners and riders, had all been told it would be done next year. And then, for reasons only known to themselves, the NEC decided to bring the selection forward. They gave us less than a week's notice. As the local CLP executive, we actually found out from one of the candidates who'd been told by a union, and they've run it. They blocked the strongest candidate in Copeland, who'd have had a really good strong chance, and the other person that would have had a really good chance of winning it is a guy called Marcus Campbell-Savers. He was the son of Lord Campbell-Savers, the former Workington MP, and in excluding the Workington members, by running the selection early, they took away potentially up to 200 votes from Marcus. Now, given that the constituency vote yesterday was won by 40 votes, it looks to me on the face of it like a pretty clear stitch-up. By excluding those Workington members from voting, the majority of which would have supported Marcus, it kind of cleared the path for the candidate of choice for the leader of the opposition's office. Wow.
So they've pissed off a load of Workington members.
Yeah,
this was the seat obviously in 2019. They were talking about Workington Man. Labour's got whoever wins that is pivotal, and they've just pissed off Workington men and women. So, do you think that's going to have a bad effect on their campaign for the general election?
It's going to. It's really damaging, actually. We often see in CLPs debates between right and left. Yesterday, outside of the Copeland selection, you had members from Workington who are right across that political spectrum, including the leader of Cumberland Council, who joined in the demonstration, despite the fact he'd been threatened by Labour North that if anyone turned up, that could be expelled. So they've united all the different wings of the party in opposition to this candidate. And good luck to him trying to get elected when he's going to have a real dearth of kind of door knockers, and the people who are the workers in the two constituency parties that are merging will not be out supporting him. It's just not going to happen.
Can I just to check, just in case? I mean, is he from the area, or has he been parachuted in?
No, he's been parachuted in. He moved to Penrith, which, if people know the geography of Cumbria, Penrith is a town in the north of the county, which is on the main railway line, and the M6 kind of runs there. West Cumbria is a spur further down that is harder to get to and much more cut off from, it's an hour to get to a motorway from West Cumbria. And the candidate who's been selected, a guy called Josh McAllister, he kind of privatised social work in his previous job. He's done work for the government before. University friend of Wes Streeting, and he moved to Penrith about 12 months ago, and has put all these leaflets out of him walking his dogs in Whitehaven, and all the sort of stuff that you see from parachuted candidates to make him appeal to local members. Talks about being a proud Cumbrian, and he lived in a rented house in Penrith and has been there for less than 6 months. Less than 12 months. And And actually, yes, last night to sort of rub salt into the wounds of the members who worked in West Street and tweeted to congratulate Josh on his selection as the West Cumbria candidate. When he hasn't actually been selected as the West Cumbria candidate, he's selected as the Copeland candidate because they changed the process and stitched it up. So they didn't even keep up the sort of mask. You know, they tweeted last night to say, well done on being selected in West Cumbria, which will really have kind of driven home that message to the poor guys in Workington who weren't allowed to vote.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about what's happened there. Well, thank you for coming on and explaining it. It was a bit confusing. Yeah. Well, look, just so you know that you're not the only area that's been stitched up. So, you know, you've got a bit of consolation. There's others who've had the same thing. Yours was Labour North, yeah? You're Labour North. This is Labour North West, and they're doing a good job of stitching up too. This is Ryan from Bolton West, who I've met a few times. He's been not given a chance on the long list. I call into question the legitimacy of the selection process in Bolton West, given that another applicant received a response from the party selections team confirming that the long listing occurred on 8th of June. Given my own interview was held on 9th of June and my subsequent appeal was heard on 16th of June, how can it be that the long list was agreed on the 8th? If I were one of the remaining candidates, I would find this process incredibly embarrassing. If I were the winning candidate, I would be even more ashamed to have won in such a manipulated election. I understand the frustration and disillusionment that many members may feel. The manipulation of selection processes has left us questioning whether our party truly represents us. It's disheartening, especially considering that other genuinely local candidates were overlooked in this process. However, we must not lose sight of our goal. We must remain disciplined and resolute, steering Labour toward a path that genuinely reflects the views and aspirations of all our members. There will be more elections, both internal and external, and I am committed to participating fully in those. If we want a more democratic party, we must actively work towards it. Karl, is that your? Do you see that view? Do you think that we can fight to win the Labour Party back? Do you think it's work? Do you think it's possible?
Honestly, I'm in two minds. I've been one of the big kind of advocates of staying in and fighting and it all being worth it. But when they change the rules to stop us from winning, I'm not sure how you can do anything. You know, the candidate that they blocked here in Copeland, Joseph Gayuba, is of mixed race descent and should have been guaranteed under the party's rules a place on the shortlist. He was blocked, and they came up with some really flimsy excuses to why they could block him. And you can't organise against that. They just changed the rules to suit themselves. So I'm personally, I didn't go to the selection yesterday. I didn't vote. I didn't want to legitimise the contest, and I'm not sure that I'll stay in the party. I can't. I think it's really difficult for people, and I really understand why people are walking away.
I mean, in my own experience, I mean, I've been stitched up myself. So the first time you get stitched up, that's the first thing. Then you speak out, and then you get discipline. So it's like there's a whole circuit you have to go through before you end up like me, expelled. So it's a difficult situation. And anyway, look, I'm sorry about what's happened, and thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.